Welcome to BLUELOCK TV News, a news series where I give you all the news regarding BLUELOCK. Whether it's anime, manga, studio, or leaker, if it's BLUELOCK, I cover it. I'm your host, Arrow, and today we have a lot of interesting BLUELOCK news. The reveal of 2 New Generation 11, the retconning of several story components, live-action movie castings, and so much more. Here are the specific timestamps for this segment I'll be discussing in today's video, so if you're looking for something specific, you can click the chapter down below and head over to it. And if you want to keep up with all of the latest BLUELOCK news, like and subscribe for future reports just like this. Starting with some of the biggest news first, with the release of BLUELOCK chapter 326, we got the reveal of the newest New Generation 11 named Yugo. Now, if you want context for Yugo's introduction, feel free to watch my video going through the chapter and discussing the key points. But to keep it brief, Yugo is a member of France's U20 national team alongside Charles and Loki, who is revealed to be a New Generation 11. Now, aside from just a single comment and appearance of Yugo, we don't know too much about him. This goes for color palette, position, mentality. We don't really know anything. There are a lot of theories though spreading around that Yugo is actually a goalkeeper inspired by Hugo Lloris. Well, I personally believe that Yugo would be more of a defensive midfielder since we'd have Charles being crazy while Yugo would handle the midfield and maintain equilibrium. I could definitely see the goalkeeper theory being true. Also, I feel like it's important to say this now, but Yugo in the official release does not actually make a comment about Isagi's adaptation. He simply says that Isagi is not suitable, but he never says anything about his adaptation. There were a lot of theories going around with the leaks about Yugo having an adaptation weapon in the same way that Isagi does, and I just feel the need to kind of squash that theory now. I do have my own personal theories as to how I think Yugo will play, but I'll save them for another video. Overall though, we don't know too much about Yugo, but it's cool to see another New Generation 11 be added to the roster. What do you guys think about Yugo? What are your predictions for who he is as a character? Going into our next talking point, you know I brought up 2 New Generation 11 earlier, and we're getting into the second one because the second New Generation 11 character is actually someone that we've known for a while. That being Julian Loki, being revealed as another New Generation 11 from France. Now, with Loki being a new gen, while this is actually pretty cool, there are a lot of issues that are brought up within the community and just the current story of the manga. First, we don't know if Loki being a new gen is a retcon or if he's just a recent addition. The New Generation 11 titles could have been in distribution, and Loki only recently received his title after his NEL performance where he beat Noah, the current best striker in the world, in every single one of their matchups, and also when Loki stopped the Kaiser impact, the iconic and signature weapon of another respective New Generation 11. Assuming this title was given to him at that point, it would also mean that Isagi and Rin, despite popular opinion, are not New Generation 11 level, at least according to Ray Dark, who gives out the titles. There was a lot of discourse regarding Rin and Isagi's PXG game performances, where many believe that they were superior to Kaiser, and while I personally don't believe that they are, I do think that they're somewhat close. But still, they're not of that level just yet. And assuming that Loki received his title for the New Generation 11 after his NEL performances, it justifies the claim that Isagi and Rin are just not on that level. But on the other hand, if he didn't just receive the title, this could potentially be a retcon by Kaneshiro and Nomura. Loki never had the New Generation 11 title, at least according to his 3 previous appearances in the story. His World 5 introduction, his NEL introduction, and then his PXG game introduction. In none of those 3 was it mentioned that he was a New Generation 11. And it's not like the term wasn't already addressed. I mean, we had Kaiser, Lorenzo, and Sai, and hell, the New Generation 11 title was introduced all the way back in chapter 4 of the manga. It's been around for a while, so to say that Loki always had the title and it was just never brought up is kind of weird. Especially given Tokimitsu's spiel about Loki, I would assume that he would know if Loki was a New Generation 11, given his high knowledge of football data. Myself and Raven have both made videos discussing Loki's potential New Generation 11-ness, but we always framed our claims as he isn't a new gen, but he meets every requirement to receive the title. Because when you do look at the requirements to be a New Generation 11, Loki does meet them. And before now, we had no confirmation, so we couldn't say that he was a new gen, but we could say that he could be a new gen. Him being a new gen, though, isn't that much shock because it makes sense that he's a new gen. I mean, he's a great U20 player, better than Kaiser, Sai, Lorenzo, maybe even Bunny. We haven't really seen him do much. It's no shock or surprise that Loki's a new gen, right? But Loki's New Generation 11 title also puts the flag theory to bed. For those of you who don't know, the flag theory suggests that all of the flags that we see in chapter 303 relate to each of the New Generation 11 that we will eventually see in the story. This is due to the mention of New Generation 11 along with 11 flags on this panel, which 3 of them at the time corresponded to the only New Generation 11s that we knew of. And then with Bunny's introduction, the Spanish flag which appeared solidified this theory within the community's brains as being canon. Loki's title of New Generation 11 and the fact that there are 2 new gens from the same country on the same team kind of kills that theory. I was personally a huge fan of the theory, but I never treated it as canon. But what do you guys think of Loki being a New Generation 11? Do you support this potential retcon by the author, or are you outraged by this new claim? With other news unrelated to the specific manga itself, but more respectively the leaks, Shadow, a famous and well-known leaker within the Blue Lock community, has returned to leaking. He dropped leaking and went MIA with the release of chapter 318 and has had some scattered reposts here and there on Twitter, but he eventually went cold back at the start of October. But he's back and using the same account as before, so if you need another outlet for leaks, you can go to Shadow now. And speaking of leaks, it's worthy to note that next Monday, the 24th of November, is apparently a holiday in Japan, meaning the leaks for Blue Lock chapter 327 will be dropping this Friday around the same time as it usually does. I'm not sure when this video is planning on dropping. I hope it drops either Wednesday or Thursday, but that respective Friday is when the leaks are going to drop, so you have something to look forward to. Now, getting back into the hotter topics of today's video, and we do have another potential retcon in the story, that being the removal of white hair Isagi, aka Omnivision as dubbed by the community. Yeah, you heard me right. The white hair version of Isagi that we saw beat out Rin and Kaiser in the PXG game might not actually exist in the Blue Lock universe anymore. While I do make this claim, it is important to note that it is not entirely 100% confirmed whether this is a retcon, but does seem to be removed from the story based on the evidence that we have. With the release of Kaiser's colored manga, which is a short volume consisting of colored panels of Kaiser's best chapters, we got the colored release of Blue Lock chapter 294. In this chapter, we get a small snip of Kaiser recapping what Isagi did to surpass him and score the final PXG goal, which I'm sure you probably didn't pay attention to when looking through these images if you even saw them at all, but I want you to pay attention to Isagi here. When you look at the official manga, Isagi is in his white form here. He has the white hair, he has the glowing kit, he has the unique puzzle pieces around his eyes. However, when we look at the official manga, it changes things. Looking at the colored version of the panel, Isagi completely loses his white form, and while he still faintly has the puzzle piece marks by his eyes, they are nearly invisible. Now, obviously, I'm sure your first thought goes to, well, Kaiser probably doesn't see the white form, which is why it isn't colored, which isn't a bad thought, but when you remember, he had the white form in the original source material, which this colored version is just an adaptation of that source material and is just a colored version. It's supposed to be 1-to-1, so Kaiser can see, or at least envisions, the white form of Isagi. Not to mention, even if the white form is just for our visualization, we should still be able to see it. This form is kind of like the aura manifestations in Blue Lock. Nobody can see the auras, nobody can see the white form Isagi, only we can. Except maybe KUSO, because bro was freaking out when Ryo started shapeshifting into Bachira. Now overall, it's a little concerning. Not the kind of concerning that's like, oh my god, we're gonna die, but just kind of concerning is to be like, why? Like, why was it removed in the first place? Due to my research, it seems that the coloring book is not only officially produced by Kodansha, who produces and manages the Blue Lock anime, but likely was approved by Kaneshiro and Nomura prior to release. This means that not only are the colors accurate to the anime, but are accurate according to Kaneshiro and Nomura, the creators of the series. If this is truly the case, this means that the white form Isagi could potentially be retconned from the entire series. We're basically giving Omnivision Isagi the Ash Greninja treatment. But what are your thoughts regarding this? Is white hair Isagi gone forever, or is this just a simple mistake by Kodansha? With the announcement of season 3 about a month ago, we also got the reveal that Blue Lock is actually getting a live action movie releasing in summer of 2026. I, like many people, was skeptical of this, since Blue Lock's crazy goals and aura manifestations may not translate well into live action. But we got the reveal of Isagi's actor and the casting for him, as well as some set shots, and I'm gonna be honest, they look pretty cool. Starting with Isagi's actor, it's revealed that he'll be played by Takahashi Fumiya, apologies on the possible mispronunciation, who's best known for his work in Kamen Rider Zero. Now with this casting, it's revealed that this project will not be an Americanized retelling of Blue Lock like with Netflix's My Hero series that's being produced. And frankly, I'm kind of happy with that because I did not need Tom Holland being cast as Isagi. But considering the stage show for Blue Lock and its popularity in Japan, specifically with it getting an episode Nagi adaptation as of late, I wonder what the casting for players like Bachira, Kunigami, Nagi, and Rail will look like. Maybe they'll be closely adapted like the stage play is, but I'm not so sure how people will feel about that. We also got some shots of the set where we see Fumiya in the Ichinan kit along with another individual in the Matsukaze Koko kit with red hair. And unless I'm forgetting, like really forgetting, I don't think this is Kira and it's just another unknown person. But I really do like the set and I do like the costume design, so I am kind of hopeful for this live action adaptation. What do you guys think? What are your expectations for the Blue Lock live action? Now, typically with every release of Blue Lock's volume, we usually get some additional information relating to some characters throughout the series. When we got the NEL releasing weekly, we were given player stats, along with some details about their character profiles. Examples being like stuff we got with Charles, as well as the Master Strikers. If you've ever read the Egoist Bible, it's pretty close to those character entries. Well, with the Nigeria game coming to an end with the release of Blue Lock Chapter 326, we have been given some character profiles for both ONAZ and for KUSO. I do want to leave a warning though that these translations are done by AI, so they may not be fully accurate, but just again, take that with a grain of salt. Starting with Onazi, this is his character profile and you can feel free to pause and read. Onazi's birthday is February 1st and he is currently 19 years old. His birthplace, nationality is Nigeria. His blood type is O and he currently stands at 177 centimeters. His hobbies include playing games with Obo, eating with Bello, and talking with KUSO. His favorite animal is the caracal, and he says, "Do you know what that is? A cool and awesome cat." His favorite movie is the Spider-Man series. I think he's in reference to the Tobey Maguire one for this. And he says, "He's the master I learned my moves from." When asked what makes him happy, he says, "Expectations. If there are people who get energized just by me being around, that alone makes me happy." What makes him sad though is nothing in particular. "I don't care what happens to me, but I just can't forgive my family being hurt." His favorite food is catfish fry, and he says that's what they call namazu in Japan. And his least favorite food is actually protein. He says, "It feels like putting medicine into my body, which is gross." And as for KUSO's, here is his, and you can feel free to pause and read yourself. KUSO was born on September 29th and is currently 19 years old, and he was also born in Nigeria. His blood type is AB and he stands at 185 centimeters. KUSO's hobbies include stargazing, and he says, "I like the night sky. I like the night." His favorite animal is a coyote, and he says, "It has a melancholy about it. I like how it always seems lonely." His favorite movie is Night on Earth, and he says, "The footage of the animals at night is incredible." What makes him happy is modesty or humility. He says, "It makes me think, this is the person I can trust." What makes him sad though is bravado or bluffing. It makes me think, this person lives their life based on whether or not people look down on them. That's gross. His favorite food is actually the Haribo gummies, and he says, "I like them so much that I've eaten them to the point of throwing up." His least favorite food though is gum, because you can chew and chew it, but it never goes away. Haribo, on the other hand, can be swallowed so easily. But with KUSO and Onazi's character profiles being released, what do you think about it? Are there any specific things from this new information that stands out to you? But going into our final topic and one of the bigger topics of this video, we have the investigative report on Kaiser that was sent to Ray Dark prior to Kaiser being arrested, aka the Kaiser files. This, like the Omnivision point from earlier, came to us thanks to the release of the Kaiser full color manga volume. With the release of volume 1 and 2 covering Isagi and Nagi respectively, we were given a school report for both players. But since Kaiser doesn't attend school, we instead received an investigative report that was sent to Ray Dark prior to Kaiser arriving at prison. And when I say before he arrived at prison, I mean long before. This wasn't just sent to him as Kaiser was going to prison. This was sent to Ray Dark a long time before. I also want to remind you beforehand that everything that comes with this volume is in fact canon, and this is supposed to be the new canon. If it goes against some existing information, that information is supposed to be written off. This is essentially a retcon of that information. this is supposed to be treated as the confirmed, more recent information. This is the full Kaiser investigative report, but because there's so much information, I'll be cutting it up into parts and reviewing it section by section. Conduct Investigation Report. To Ray Dark. We hereby report the results of the behavior investigation of the subject and the investigation into their family environment as follows. Investigation subject, Michael Kaiser, born December 25th, 15 years old. Subject's relatives, father, Frederick Kaiser, mother, Alice Love. Michael was born to former stage director and now day laborer, father, Frederick Kaiser, 49, and actress mother, Alice Love, 36. But the two separated when Michael was about 8 years old, and at present, Frederick alone is raising Michael. Michael has no siblings. After the separation from Alice, Frederick, suffering mental shock, quit his steady job and often fell into drinking and gambling. He cannot be called a father who is devoted to work or childcare. A specific note from the translator. The text used the word ribitsu, which literally means separation or parting. This is distinct from the specific legal term for divorce, which is RETCON. While the context implies a permanent split, the document itself uses a more general term, separated. However, it has been confirmed that only on December 25th each year, he brings Michael with him to his regular bar called Ipine, Thorn in English. There is no particular conversation, but he, Frederick, cheerfully tells Michael stories about his own past. Although Frederick sometimes hurls verbal abuse or violence, Michael always accepts it silently, drinks just one cola, then goes home. Testimony of the bar owner. So this is where the retconning and changing of canon information starts, because I was under the assumption that Alice Love left soon after Kaiser was born in their life. But with this, we learned that the mother stayed in his life till he was around 8 years old. It's also cool to note that we have the official colors for Kaiser's father, Kaiser's mother, and Ray Dark. For Kaiser's father, we see that he shares the same blue eyes as Kaiser, which is where he inherited them from. For Kaiser's mother, Alice Love, we see that she has the same hair as Kaiser and is accented by the same red tattoos under her eyes, but her eyes are more of a lilac color. And for Ray Dark, we see that his hair and beard are gray, while his eyes take on a much more faded purple tone, closely related to Alice Love's eye color. Now, I do think the theory that Ray Dark being related to Kaiser is actually substantial, and their connection is through Alice Love, because when you see the official colors of these characters, it's hard to believe that they're not related. Pointing out the age gap, I'm not one to judge, but a 13-year age gap is kinda crazy. If these are their ages in relation to the report, Alice had Kaiser at the age of 21 to a 34-year-old. I'm not one to judge, but I don't know, a little weird. The mention of cola at the bar is interesting, since we just saw Kaiser drinking a ton of that earlier in chapter 326. I even saw someone draw the parallel between the cycle of abuse, whereas Kaiser's father would drink tons of beer and beat Kaiser. Kaiser is now drinking tons of cola as a mirror, as he desires to destroy Isagi. It's a very interesting parallel for this chapter, and I like the connection drawn to it. Plus the bar he went to being named Thorn, it's great to see another Rose connection to Kaiser's mentality. Currently, all interaction between Alice and Frederick has completely ceased. Although Alice is currently economically successful as an actress, it is believed that she provides no communication or support whatsoever to Frederick and Michael. The office attempted to contact Alice, but there was no reply at all. From the situation above, it is surmised that Frederick neglects Michael's upbringing, engages in daily violence, and uses Michael as an outlet for his own distorted mental state. In addition, Frederick has ordered Michael to procure money and goods for their living, and the Kaiser family's main livelihood currently depends on Michael's theft. So this info is pretty much just retelling all the stuff that we know, seeing as we got most of this from the backstory with Kaiser in chapter 260 and 261. But it is interesting to note that the office attempted to contact Alice and just no response was given. This was likely through her agent, to which she asked not to be involved in the circumstance, but it does bring up the question as to whether or not Kaiser himself would have the capacity to contact her. I'm assuming that he could, but he wouldn't want to, considering that because of Alice leaving, the abuse from his father began to occur. It would be interesting though to see a communication between these two characters though. Inevitably, Michael's mind and body cannot be said to be healthy. He repeatedly commits theft and other delinquent acts due to his father's instructions and for the sake of his daily life. Due to his upbringing, Michael lacks experience in healthy communication with others and has hardly attended school. He does not appear to have any school friends or friends of his own generation, and he is not seen spending time with groups of delinquent youths except for the purpose of theft. He is ostracized as an abnormal presence. Additionally, several eccentric behaviors were confirmed. He would pick all of the roses blooming in the street, one by one, and burn them by himself. He would collect discarded bread crusts, and he was seen sleeping alone in a park holding a soccer ball. It must be said that he is in a mentally unstable and dangerous state. From the above facts, it is not hard to imagine that he, Michael, longs for love from his father or mother, and by extension, love from other human beings. We strongly wish for Michael to be urgently protected and for him to have an encounter with someone who can show him a signpost towards rehabilitation. Munich Neubürlock Detective Agency. And now we bring everything to a close with this final entry. Bringing out Kaiser's lack of communication and desire for love is especially interesting here, as maybe Ray Dark wanted to extort this to make Kaiser become a soccer player. But I also really appreciate the connection to Ness here. Not only was Kaiser abused by his father, he was overall ostracized by society as a whole, having no friends or love from a safe community. Whereas Ness was accepted by friends but ostracized from his family, and was never accepted due to his vivid imagination. There's also something I want to note here that isn't mentioned in the English translation, but is mentioned in the Japanese translation. In the final line about an encounter with someone, there's a specific kanji used which separates the term from to meet as we know it. This kanji in Japanese holds heavy meaning in romantic or important desires, and he even uses this specific kanji when meeting Isagi during the beginning of the NEL. I wonder if this encounter with someone potentially relates to Isagi, or maybe to Ness, or maybe to Ray Dark, which meeting him was Kaiser's turning point for his life. There's also this little bit about his behavior and attitude, such as him burning the roses one by himself, as well as the mention of the bread crust and the soccer ball. We already know about the soccer ball, as this connection with it is the only thing Kaiser feels is closely relative to him when it comes to societal standing and his humanity, which I also think it's kind of cute that Kaiser brought the ball with him to the U20 World Cup, as we see it sitting in the background of the cola panel. The rose thing is definitely new info, because Kaiser meticulously picking roses out of the street to burn is kind of weird, especially when he then got one tattooed on him. Maybe he does this out of spite for his mother, because her leaving eventually led to his father abusing him, and maybe he hates her for it in some capacity. I'm not so sure. And the bread crust, while this is kind of new to some, it's not entirely new info. We know from Kaiser's Egoist Bible entry that bread crusts are his favorite food, so seeing this continue throughout his childhood maintains that consistency. I think the biggest question for this report, though, is how the hell did Ray Dark know about Kaiser, and why would he get a report on him? I think this definitely ties into the Kaiser and Ray Dark are family theory that's surging around the community as of late, because this report in universe was even before Kaiser went to prison and met with Ray Dark. So how Ray Dark knew of Kaiser before this is a mystery, unless he somehow knew him because of his connection to Alice Love. Whether he's his grandfather or uncle or whatever, I feel like they have to be related in some capacity for him to have known about Kaiser. But overall, what do you think of this new report on Kaiser? Does this information lead you to having a different opinion on him? And with that, our first BLUELOCK TV news segment is brought to a close. With so much new information regarding the BLUELOCK series, I wonder what else is going to happen that could change the course of events for our characters. I plan to do more videos just like this, especially when we get news that really isn't in need of its own video for this, but stuff that I feel like the community should know about. But aside from that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video and will continue to enjoy it in the future. I just want to leave a final reminder to join my Discord server if you're interested in getting any more involved with our amazing community. As for the question of the video, which story from today's video was the most interesting to you? Leave me your thoughts down below in the comment section. And like always, thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe to see more awesome BLUELOCK content just like this.